welcome back everyone to the Columbus Comics Corner, Talking Legion, Chapter 3, Episode 3. My name is Ryan. With me as always is Alan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Good. Yes, we're here to talk Episode 3 of the first season of Legion. But before that, as always, you can find all of our podcast episodes at columbuscomicscorner.podbean.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Comics Corner Pod. And if you want to visit our blogspot, I occasionally post things from time to time there. From time to time. I'm sick and trying to get through this. columbuscomicscorner.blogspot.com. If you want to email us, you can do so at columbuscomicscorner@gmail.com. We also are on iTunes, and you can subscribe, rate, and review us there. We'd greatly appreciate it. And before we get into the show discussion, we are going to be spoiling it. So if you have not seen the episode yet, definitely go back and watch it. Or if you just want to hear us discuss it first, thanks for sticking around. But yeah, quick little summary before we get into it. Dr. Melanie and Penatomy, I believe that's how you pronounce it, continue their memory work sessions with David to figure out what triggers his powers, but David's inner demons stand in the way of that. Division 3 continue to interrogate Amy in order to convince her to help them find David. While all this is going on, Dr. Melody thinks it's best to sedate David in order to get past the inner demon keeping them out. Inside, things go awry when the inner demon breaks past the sedative, trapping David inside his memories. And that's where the episode ends. What were some of your thoughts on this?
This was a slight change from the last couple episodes, I thought.
I would agree.
Partially because the second episode started off what I'm calling the training phase of the series, where he's more being trained and he's more understanding about his powers. So things normally kind of slow down. Like even if if we were to compare this to the comic book world, things slow down. Like when New Mutants are recruited to the X-Men and are going through that training session or evaluation to see what they can do, what their potential is, which is what they're doing right now in Legion. Once they said they were going to sedate him, I was like, I don't think that's a wise idea to do.
Not at all. And I didn't even think about it until the end. I was like, by the time it all ended up, I was like, yeah, it probably wasn't a good idea going in. But Dr. Melody's pretty set on helping David figure out what the trigger is. That way he can control it, because we are seeing more of his powers continuing to evolve throughout this. Because at one point him and Sid, he transformed them into the room where Amy was being interrogated, and that was a very tense scene. Once the eye started to kind of catch on, and he that's when he walked up to their ghostly figures and tried to touch them. And I thought that the music was perfect for that too, because it was just super eerie, which made it even more tense as he was starting to get an idea of something's not right here. And that also shows us the eyes ability to kind of pick up on those things. So it's cool to see that.
Yeah, that's you just hit it right on the head with the fact that the music it was already a tense scene. Like you said, the way they did the music and the way he kind of slowly caught on, like there's something not right here.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of also alludes to whatever his power, his ability is, because I mean, from the first episode, I was pretty sure that he's some kind of mutant.
Yeah.
And it obviously has something to do with his eye. Maybe his eye can, see past illusions or something. Who knows? But that just seeing more of his power with them essentially astral projecting kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
Because through this episode we saw the rest of what is the name of the facility? Isn't it Summer? What is it called
Summerland?
Again? Summerland. That's what I thought. Okay. As we saw through most of the episode, at Summerland, they're slowly starting to realize he can do more things. Like before, they thought, okay, he's probably a telepath. And then they're like, wait a minute, they went into his memory and you can actually move objects. So they had a hunch that, he was possibly telekinetic, and now they know. And then it's to the point where, okay, well, he can teleport, because he teleported them at another point in the episode.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, they're like, "What are you?"
Mm.
Like, because they obviously it's up to this point they've never
Excuse me.
encountered a mutant that had more than one mutation.
Yeah,
Um,
Panami was like really freaked out about that too when he teleported him from the chamber that they were in. Well, that glass room that they were in
yeah,
originally, and Dr. Melanie was like, it didn't even phase her that they were in a different room when Panami said that they were in the now. So I thought that was really cool. Excuse me, pretty cool.
yeah, because he teleported. He's like 300 feet across the facility.
Yeah, through
Um,
walls. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I mean, you're right. It didn't phase her at all, but that's because from our first basic introductions to her, we realized that she's like, we're essentially fighting almost a war against Division Three, and anybody that she recruits, like, yeah, she's going to try to help them, but ultimately for her, they're probably soldiers for this war, and she's probably stunned, like, so I got a guy now that's a telepath, telekinetic, and he can teleport. Oh my goodness, this is great. Like, she's just probably like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and we still don't know much about Melanie's character, like what she can actually do yet. So I like how they started something at the beginning of the episode because and at the end, towards the end with their husband, and
Yes.
we know that his voice is throughout the elevator, throughout the summer land. So we know that he helped build it. So I think at some point we'll get some more of that. But the focus right now is definitely getting David better. That way he can go save Amy.
Yes, and I like the last episode where we started kind of going into his mind, and on this one that was a little bit more expanded on, and it's interesting to see how they're setting up what's in his head because they go to the room, and he's like, "Yeah, we should probably get out of here," and nobody can see like that the room started to tear apart and everything, which was a callback later in the episode where something similar happened,
Yeah, where Sid.
and yeah, where she could
Mm-hmm.
see it, which raised even more questions like, well, since they traded bodies earlier on the first episode, are they now connected
That's
more,
yeah. That's
or
that's kind of how I
is it?
took it because like their
Oh,
relationship, they've been getting closer too throughout.
yeah, I've been noticing that, so I was wondering, is this because of the body swap, or and she's actually experienced his powers, or are they going a Cyclops and Jean Grey type of thing where they're starting to build some kind of mental connection?
That's a good possibility as well because I kind of took the whole when he like teleported them outside of the glass room. I kind of took that kind of like a Kitty Pride feel, um, like from back in the animated the pilot that they did like years ago.
Oh, part of the X-Men.
Yeah, probably the X-Men. That kind of reminded me of that.
I can see why you would say that.
Yeah. But I kind of like how they're pulling like little X-Men elements into here while still telling like David's story and what's going on outside of that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was wondering how they were going to do from the beginning. I was wondering, like, because we talked before about whether or not this was going to be set in the actual, universe that the movies were set in, and then we found that it's basically not. But even then, you got to wonder how many elements from the comics are they going to take, and are they going to stick to just taking stuff from Legion's appearances in the comics, or are they going to kind of find other instances that they could actually relate to this character?
Yeah, and I haven't read much Legion, but I know he doesn't have like a lot like based on like a lot of solo series, and I know he's in a couple other stories as well, like the Apocalypse main one being one of the main ones. So yeah, it would make sense that they would pull from other things if they don't have much to go on, um, to help build it as well. So we'll definitely see as it goes along.
Yeah, so I think the only solo mini series or series he had in the comics was Legion's Quest, and that was like 4 issues, I think.
Okay.
And even then, that like ties into Age of Apocalypse, so that's something like totally different than
Mm,
just um, the character by himself.
yeah. What were some of your favorite scenes?
I definitely enjoy the second time they went into his mind, and they met his kid self, his child self,
Oh yes, that was good.
and him and Sid were trying to escape through the vent. Like that was pretty creepy because at first it was like, okay, they got into the vent, whatever the big bobblehead demon thing is they saw that was chasing them is not going to be able to make it into there because that's supposed to be his safe place. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be the one place he can hide. Like she said, that nobody can find you. But it found him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I enjoyed the elements throughout. Excuse me, throughout the episode where we're seeing glimpses of him either starting to master certain elements of his powers or that they started kind of hinting at more of what he can do. Like in the beginning when they're discussing, how to start treating him and what to do next, and he's I think he in his room and he was like meditating, but he was actually trying to lock onto his sister, and he was kind of listening in to what was going on with her.
Yeah, I think that might have been when he was sitting by the lake, maybe.
I just remember he was by the lake. I just remember
Okay.
he was sitting and I thought he was meditating at first, but then it was like no, he was focusing his mind to try to lock on
Lock
and
on.
see what was going on with his sister. And I like the fact that they're showing like yeah, he believes he has powers now, and he's trying to see how he can actually use those to his benefit.
And it was really cool when they were showing him locking onto his sister, how he would be, and they would show kind of him looking on from like a screen or a piece of paper, so to say.
Yep.
I thought that was really cool. Cool.
Um, I also enjoyed the fact that we got a little bit more of the yellow-eyed demon that he keeps talking about.
Yes, I'm not sure where that's going yet, but what I'm kind of taking it as now, right now, is like kind of like I said in like the summary, is inner demon for
Yeah.
now. Uh,
That if they're sticking to anything remotely like the comics, that's basically what it's going to be. He does have a couple of personalities that are just like pretty villainous,
hmm
and I'm taking it as that. Like we can call him the inner demon, but I'm taking it as that's the personality that's inside of him that's just like pure evil.
Dark, yeah, no doubt. Hell yeah, yeah. One of my standout scenes. Well, to touch back on with when we went back, when we went into his memory and he was a kid, because they had to sedate him. Well, the reason why he was a kid was that way it would be easier to kind of break into him, and he's be more convincing of letting people into his mind. But when Sid finally hugged David, that was a cool moment. But then it led up to Panatmi saying, "Can we move this along now?" I thought that was
Yeah.
perfect. Some of the comedic moments throughout were pretty solid. While it stayed serious throughout, I really liked.
I think he's really freaked out this episode after seeing that not only was he able to lock them basically out of parts of his mind, but that he teleported them. So I think by that point in the episode, he was just really like, I don't really even really want to be in
Yeah.
here because I've never faced anything like this, and we've already seen an example of three crazy powers this guy has. Like, who knows what might happen in here?
Right, and they got stuck at the end, and
Yep.
luckily Sid got it or woke up. I forget how she woke up.
She asked the
Oh
kid
yeah,
him.
Kid
She was like,
David.
I know you're in there. Like, David, I know you're in there somewhere. If you can hear me, if you care about me, you have to help now.
Yeah,
And then she woke up, and then she woke up. What was his name?
uh,
Panatni.
I believe it's pronounced Patanomy. Patanomy.
Panatni.
Yeah.
Okay, well then she woke him up, which was hilarious because she was hitting him with the pillow,
hmm
and I thought that was kind of funny. Um, but then they couldn't wake up the professor.
yeah, and oh yeah. Speaking, when we jump into her scene, it looks like we're getting a glimpse of at some point he may have burned down the neighborhood, and that's why we saw all the adults like yelling at him at the end while we were like stuck in his mind. So I think we're going to be finding out something real soon about that.
Yeah, did you catch on to that? What that resembled?
No.
Do you remember the very beginning of the first episode where they kind of gave glimpses of him as he was growing up? And there was a part in there where he was like walking through the street, and there was all these adults around him. They were like yelling at him, and they were real aggressive with him. I think it was right before they had the shot of him in the back of the police car.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think it's calling back, and we're kind of piecing together these fragmented memories that were thrown at us in the beginning,
Oh yeah,
and now we're starting to kind of give them meaning now.
yeah. I was gonna say they've been doing that a lot through, especially this episode, kind of piecing some things together while other things are kind of opening the doors to. So like nothing's really answered yet, but we are getting like small glimpses into things, which I like. Kind of like the approach they're taking.
Yeah, they're giving us bits and pieces and slowly piecing it together because we're riding with David, so
Yep.
he's slowly really piecing together because for the longest he wasn't sure what was real and what was fake. So we're just like him, like we're getting these small glimpses and small shots of these events that we kind of saw a little bit of early on, but now they're starting to be put into some kind of context.
Yeah. And all the acting, I thought Aubrey Plaza was a little bit overboard in this episode for me. Just like a hair, like it seems like she's like kind of gone up a hair each episode. This one was like it was like borderline okay. But all the other acting is like phenomenal, especially the scene that's like right before they're about to sedate David, and Sid's talking to Dr. Melody, and Sid's like, "All you want to do is use him. Is that what you want?" She's like, "No, I want to make him healthy. I want to make him happy, and then I'm gonna use him." I thought that was a great line delivered.
Yeah, it sounded like she sounded like Professor Magneto right there.
Right.
Like she got all the Professor X stuff out early on, and then came to Magneto like, yeah, then I'm going to use him, of course. Like I have to use him.
And there's still stuff we don't know about her yet. So and because
her secrets have secrets.
yes, yep. I forget Aubrey Plaza's character name off the top of my head, but yeah, she is the one that mentioned that.
I do. I forget her name too. But what's funny is like she's been your slight issue, and I haven't had an issue with her. Like I actually love the way she's playing it because you're still kind of you're not as unsure now whether or not she was just a figment of his imagination, if you will.
Yeah, I figured at this point she was a friend and then died. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, like I told you early on with Legion, if he kills somebody, he takes that personality inside of him. So I'm guessing that maybe his inner personalities have a little bit more of a grasp on what he can do and what's going on and what he actually does because he's been suppressing his powers and they're just in there like, well, I have access to this ability and I can see this, and why doesn't he understand this?
Yeah, that's good stuff. And we're also seeing it looks like Division 3 is gonna, convince. Well, they have convinced Amy to like start helping them, so she didn't stay strong for long. They broke her quick.
I saw that coming. I knew she wasn't going to hold out that long. They were going to pull some kind of angle like, "Don't you want to help your brother?" Yeah, I want to help my brother.
Yeah, I want to see more of the Eye for sure. He's probably going to be a standout character for me at the end of the season. By the end of the season.
He's like the guy with the glassy eye and the bad perm.
And making all those wooden figures in the bad perm.
Yeah, I'm really curious. As I was curious for him from the first episode, it was especially when they gave that shot. Excuse me, that shot where they showed his eye.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he's probably some kind of mutant or something with that eye. And they just been slowly making me more curious about who he is, and because in that first episode he seemed to take the back seat, like he wasn't really. But now it seems like maybe he has a bigger position or a bigger role than what we thought, or maybe he got promoted because everyone else got killed.
Yeah, because I think they mentioned at one point that he worked with Dr. Melanie's husband with the building, but he was kind of like the outcast that went the villainous way, opposed to the good side.
Yeah, you've always got to have one.
Yep. And I'm also convinced that David probably killed Dr. Poole, his therapist.
Yeah, at this point, I'm convinced I'm pretty convinced he did kill him, but I'm also convinced that he may have killed somebody else.
True.
And I think that's part of the reason why, like, especially the one memory they keep trying to go to that keeps causing all the problems is the one when he was in the kitchen. And that seems to be one of the memories he really doesn't want to go back to, or at least his inner demon doesn't want anybody just to see.
Yeah, things are gonna get crazy as we go along, and this is probably I want to say my second favorite episode so far. Last episode being my first.
I would actually have to agree. Not saying the first episode wasn't great, but
No.
these last two episodes have actually started to open up more and explain more to us and give us a bigger glimpse as to what's going on. And I always like training, so I guess seeing him grow through this attempted training and healing process, I find interesting.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it. So sweet. I think that's pretty much all I really had that I really wanted to touch on. I mean, there's probably so much other stuff that we kind of glossed over, but those are some of like the standout things for me.
Yeah, I think those are the standout elements from this episode.
Awesome, cool. Well, if you don't have anything else, I think we're gonna sign off for now. We will make sure you check back tonight as well when by the time you're listening to this. We'll have the Columbus Comics Corner New Comic Book Week episode out, 22. And we also just recorded our Dread 3D movie corner. That's already out in the feed now. So by the time you're getting this, go ahead and pick those two things up. We did get some feedback on our Dread movie corner, so we do appreciate that. And if you do have feedback on our Talking Legion stuff, definitely feel free to reach out to us. We greatly appreciate it. But until then, we'll talk to you next week. And when I see you rocking back and forth, whispering that it's all